Support for this series comes from NPR sponsor GoDaddy. Making a different future starts with you. That's why GoDaddy does more than help you find a name you can create, you can sell, and get found online. So any small business can be a driving force to create change or build an empire. So whatever it is you have in mind that will help make a different future, find everything you need to get started at GoDaddy.com. Because the future isn't decided yet. It's up to us to make it happen. Start different at GoDaddy.com. Hey, welcome to How I Built This Fellows Edition from NPR. For this year's How I Built This Fellowship program, we selected 10 early-stage entrepreneurs looking to take their big ideas to the next level. And Zach Correa is our guest today. He co-founded lemonGRAFT, which he envisions as a kind of peer-to-peer for fresh produce. So something like Airbnb or Uber, but instead of your house or car, Zach wants to connect people to their neighbor's vegetable garden.
What we're doing is we're looking at people's land and saying we can make that much more productive. So if you have a backyard or a small garden of some sort, you can start to plant things in your yard, and where you couldn't sell it in traditional markets because the quantities aren't high enough, and oftentimes the barriers to entry are too high and it's just very inefficient. What we do is we remove all those barriers, we add some technology to it, we take all of the small scale products that people have and we bring them together to create a market for people to buy online.
So basically, let's say you grow like carrots. You can grow some vegetables in a vegetable box or in your property, and your company connects people with people who are growing the produce, so you could buy fresh produce, like let's say from your neighbor or somebody down the street.
That's correct, yeah, and it's actually only local, so we don't let people purchase from too far away, which is about as fresh as it can get aside from harvesting it in your own backyard, which it turns out to be what people want anyway.
Just kind of walk me through it. You have an app like Airbnb or some other app, and then what do? You open the app, and then what happens?
So our app is still in development, but once it's built, the idea is that you would open up the app and search your community. Your community would have a series of drop points. These drop points would be other people in your community that are hosting a community. We actually call them lemon drops. So you would see all these different lemon drops in the area. And
Right.
That's where the growers would come and drop off their produce, and then you can search those drop points to see what produce you're interested in buying. Once you purchase the produce on the platform, you go pick it up at the drop point at the designated time, and then you enjoy.
And how did you come up with the idea? Where did it come from?
My background isn't actually in produce or in technology. It's in architecture. I actually have a really strong focus on sustainable communities. And one day we had a developer that had asked me and my teammate to design, it was like a 400-acre sustainable community, design the master plan for that. So he asked us, he said, you guys are still college students, and I want you guys to think of some crazy ideas. Like how can we design a master plan for sustainable communities? And as I was going through this thought process, I hit a wall when I realized that it would actually be impossible to design the master plan of a sustainable community from the built perspective, because we needed a kind of soft infrastructure or a framework to precede that, something that was very malleable, that could pull and almost model a kind of cultural identity, and that couldn't be a built form because once it's built, it's static. I realized that sustainability it's such a big umbrella of things. But food, it turns out, is at like the base of this big problem. And if we can just build a regenerative food supply, then that is the one thing that will grow and branch into all other categories of sustainability. And all the other infrastructure will begin to fall into place. But the starting point we've identified is food.
Is this something that can work in any part of the United States? I mean, there's certain states where it's easier to grow produce year-round. You're in Florida. I'm in California. Obviously a little easier. Not as easy in northern Minnesota. Can this work everywhere?
That's a really good question. And even more than that, I would say, can it work in places without internet, right? I would say yes. But as a people, we have to start asking ourselves the question, should I be able to get this kind of produce out of season in an area where it cannot grow, right? There's a lot of research that is starting to give us this understanding that like actually we should be eating the food, not only that's in season, but food that's grown near us because it's grown in a similar kind of environment that we are. And it starts to kind of build up our bodies in a way that helps us to adjust to a lot of the stressors in our environment. So when people in these communities, obviously they can use greenhouses, and there's a lot of methods to kind of block wind and insulate areas. But one of the things that we're really excited about at lemonGRAFT is being able to create a market for wild edible plants and really a lot of native plants that grow like weeds in a lot of your local environments. And we've forgotten how to eat. And so what we're trying to do is we actually have a team of chefs who are working on creating recipes from these wild edible plants that we've forgotten about, and starting to bring identity, like local geographic identity, back to our communities, because I think that that's actually how cultural identity in a lot of ways began. It starts with the native plants, and then the connection between the people and the plants, we find uses for them. Those turn into dishes. Those have become culturally relevant dishes. Like you can't eat that anywhere but here, right? Because it just doesn't, you don't have the plants where you come from. And in a world of industrialization where everything is the same, I can go all around the country and I can eat pretty much exactly the same thing. What we do is we market it in meals. So we can actually, on the platform, we can show dishes, and you can say like, wow, that looks delicious. I would love to eat that this week. You click on that, we aggregate all the farmers that are currently growing the ingredients that make up that dish with the right quantities, and then you can order. And then we'll send you the recipe, or you can see it on our website, and then you can make that meal. And that's truly the right direction. But it requires a little bit of technology and a little bit of behavioral change. But I think that it helps us to see the direction that we should start going.
And how will lemonGRAFT make money? What's your revenue model?
So whatever is sold on the platform, we collect a percentage of that sale. And we use that money to help cover the expenses of the hosts, because the host will take a percentage of the different packages that they collect. But it's just based off of sales. The platform in general for buyers is still free. And for sellers, it's still free to list it. But the moment you make a sale and you start making money, then we have a percentage.
So where are you right now? Tell me about, I know it's still early days, but is it just you right now?
So I've been working on this idea for a couple of years now. And we now have, I want to say about 7 of us. And then I would say we're looking at launching in about 4 months, having
Wow.
the minimum viable product complete in about 4 months. We're already developing that.
How are you financing the team right now? Is everybody kind of working for free?
Everyone's working for free. Yeah, that's exactly right. We did partner with a development team. They are also working for free, but as a partner, they're developing the software.
Got it. Okay. You are obviously a How I Built This Fellow. You've been going to the Fellows programs. You were able to attend the Building Meaningful Communities workshop that was hosted by Michael Horvath and Bailey Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
What did you take away from that session?
The biggest thing I think that I took away from that session was understanding that as a community leader, we are really the first follower of the mission.
Starting a company is really hard. It takes a lot out of you. It pulls a lot of your life. It steers you in a particular way. So if it's going in a direction that you really believe in, stay true to that and try to avoid the distractions that come with some success, for example. So you're going to have real world communities where people are producing produce and consuming produce. And then you have people at other places where that doesn't happen here. I don't have access to that yet, but boy, I wish I did. Many people come, oh, now that you did that, you should do this too. You should do other things. So be really conscious of that, trying to, you probably will do more than the one thing you're starting with. But the thing that is going to be so important in the long run, it's the thing that started this in the first place for you. And stay true to that. Wouldn't be part of this workshop if there wasn't something happening that was working. So stay true to it.
Our identity and who we are as a company will evolve as we grow in a user base, because they'll each bring something to the community that is unique and different. And then that's okay, because that changes a little bit. But the values that we bring don't change. So the culture adapts and changes, but the values don't. And I think that was probably the most enlightening piece of wisdom that I pulled from that.
That's Zach Correa, co-founder of lemonGRAFT. Thanks for watching How I Built This Fellows edition. For more information about the Fellows, go to summit.npr.org/fellows. This message comes from NPR sponsor GoDaddy. Making a different future starts with you. GoDaddy helps you create, sell, and get found online so you can create change or build an empire. Start different at GoDaddy.com.